1. First, some background. I work for the online grocery department for Wally World, and lately we have been getting updates for the programs we use to manage orders. With these updates came some technical difficulties where orders do not drop into the system, which means we cannot pick the orders to give to the customers. This lady was one of the unfortunate ones to have to deal with this. So for me, being the guy who knows almost everything about our systems and how to solve problems, I was told by a coworker that we had a lady outside, Karen, but it was not showing up for us to disperse to her, so I decided to go talk to Karen to see if I could help. When I went out there, I knew she was not going to be easy to deal with. Nothing was stereotypical about her look, but she had the Karen attitude about her. I asked her for her name and order number, so she showed me her phone while talking about how we guzzled money out of her, and how she is getting her groceries today since she doesn't want to come back. I managed to look up her order to find that half of it was cancelled while the other half was stuck in the system, not letting us pick it. When the order is stuck there is nothing we can do on a store level to have it drop in. I explained the situation to Karen, who then proceeded to tell me that she spent hundreds of dollars on this order, and she was going to get it one way or another. So I tell her I will go check on something on the computer inside, to make sure I was not missing anything with the order. Most of the time people just ask for a manager, but this Karen went one step further. I want to speak to the store manager. Now the thing is, our store is in between managers, so I tell her I will see if I can find a manager. So I go inside and tell my team lead the situation, and that she wants to see a store manager. The people in the immediate area cracked up laughing at this, so my team lead starts looking into more detail than what I'm able to as an associate. He then tries getting in contact with our department manager, who was busy with another task around the store. So he was tasked to talk to the Karen, which he went to do. The rest of this I'm filling in since I did not witness it and I was only told about it. According to what I was told, the Karen said that she will get her stuff either from us or by going into the store to get it, to steal it. And my team lead kept trying to explain to her the situation, but she was consistently interrupting him. At this point, Karen has been outside for 20 minutes just going on about her groceries. My team lead gets in contact with the department managers, who say they will call Karen when they get the chance. After receiving this news, the lady then put her truck in reverse and floored it out of the parking lot, popping the curb next to her and leaving a trail of smoke coming from the tires. Not to mention the 2 employees she almost hit on her way out. This all happened while her child was in the car, and I hope for his sake she drove safely afterward, and that he does not grow up to be like his mom. I would later find out the problem with her order was in fact down to her making many edits to the order, so her bank withheld the money. 2. I used to work as an attendant for the largest gas station company in my country. At the time, I'd been working there for about 2.5 years. The job itself was actually really enjoyable, and I loved my time there. Currently, I'm working at the same company as a recruiter, and whenever I'm offered shifts as an attendant, I always accept them. On to the story. I was finishing up one of my last shifts as an attendant, cleaning the oven, doing the dishes, mopping the floor, etc. When a Russian-speaking man came in and wanted to fill up his truck. I tried my best to tell him in my broken Russian that we are a fill first pay after type of gas station, and with the help of a regular customer we managed to get the point across. He then went and filled up his truck. The total was about 350 liters, approximately 92.5 gallons. It was an hour until the end of my shift. When he came in to pay, after entering the PIN for his debit card, the terminal gave an error. After 2 more unsuccessful tries, I decided to contact our in-house IT team. Turns out his bank did not have a contract with our service provider, hence he couldn't pay with his card. All that time, the regular stayed there and helped me as a translator. By that point, I was all out of ideas. Had the regular tell him to wait a bit until I could get a hold of my station manager. Unfortunately, she didn't answer the phone, so I decided to call the regional manager. She advised me to call the head of external partnerships, since he has more experience in dealing with foreign banks. Unfortunately, that was a dead end because he hadn't even heard of the customer's bank. So off I go, calling the regional manager once again. Meanwhile, the truck driver had called the owner of his company and told him about the whole ordeal. The owner requested to speak with me, thankfully he spoke a bit of English, and asked me if there was a way to bill them and have the charge paid via bank transfer. That lit a bulb in my head. We have a debt certificate form we can fill, which basically says that the customer agrees to the charge and agrees to pay it by a certain date. As I was finishing up filling the forms, my station manager called me back, and after explaining her the whole story, she told me to call the head of security at our company. He, on the other hand, told me that the debt certificate was a bad idea, since the company and the driver were from Poland, and if they decided to not pay, it would be too expensive to seek legal action. He also asked me why I hadn't just told him to use a nearby ATM to just retrieve cash from his card. I literally face-palmed in front of the customer. How had I missed the simplest solution to the problem at hand? Had the regular tell the truck driver to follow me, and I drove him to the ATM. The driver successfully retrieved the cash. While driving back, we chatted a bit, as much as I could at least. He boasted to me how his boss had wired him so much money for the trip that he could buy 3 cars just like mine with it. He also told me that the first thing he'll do when he gets back to Poland will be to go to his bank and make them sign a deal with our company's provider. When we made it back, the regular had gone, truck driver paid for his fuel, and all was well. I gave both the regular customer and the truck driver a free coffee and a pastry of their choice for the inconvenience. In the end, I had spent almost 3 hours and made a dozen or so phone calls to help the customer. Thankfully, the truck driver was understanding the whole time, and didn't make a fuss about the whole ordeal. 3. The men in my family have been blessed and cursed with premature aged hair. Whether this is premature balding, graying, or both, we start showing signs of being a mature male in our hair in our early teens at our latest. On top of this, I am a teacher and have been told that this gives me a very commanding posture when I'm talking to people. I am explaining this because I've been confused as a manager at most places that I work, because people assume the older male is a manager. I don't work at Lowe's. I have never worked at Lowe's. And in my life, I've probably only been to this Lowe's like 5 times. I am currently at Lowe's in search of items to build a pet project of mine. A massive D20, over 2 feet in diameter, that can be thrown around and not cause physical damage if a child is hit. As I am discussing things like different foams to use for the sides, different types of skeletal support, if stuffing would help or hurt, and how to support the corners, I am steadily gaining more and more Lowe's employees around me, as they ask each other for their different experiences. About 5 minutes go by, and while they do their best to assist me, we finally get to the point that their idea well has run dry. Eventually I realize they don't feel comfortable leaving without me giving them permission to go away. Thank you for your help, guys. I think I've gotten everything I need from you. Now I'll have to make some of my own decisions. I state, more or less, letting them relax and disappear into various parts of the store, like the chained phantoms they are. Finally! Comes an exasperated voice, which was housed by an irate woman who was a haircut away from being a photographic example of a Karen. Before I can say anything, this woman comes towards me in a huff, literally dragging one of the store employees by his sleeve. This poor college-age boy, who had probably thought that a job at Lowe's wouldn't add to his stress level when going to college, gives me the look of someone who thinks he's about to be executed. I don't know what that woman had said to him, but he was clearly reconsidering all of his life choices up to that point. "Sir, I want you to know that your employee," she states, tugging on the boy's shirt, "has been disrespectful and completely incompetent." This caused an aha moment for both myself and the employee. I thought I had said or done something to annoy this woman, and she was going to complain about me to the nearest employee. And the employee thought she was bringing him to her husband to get a secondary tongue lashing. Ma'am?" Boy started, which threw daggers from the woman's eyes. But before he continued, I raised my finger at him and gave him the same face I give my students when we both know they're being stupid. "You'll have your time to talk in a moment. I'll handle this for now," I state before turning to the Karen. "I'm sorry that you had a bad time, ma'am. I'll handle this situation from here. If you need further assistance, please feel free to go up to one of the front desks and explain your needs to them. They'll get you some further assistance." "Finally," she states, practically preening on the fact that she's ruined someone's day. With a flip of the hair, she then marched out of the aisle the 3 of us were occupying. I wait until she turns the corner before looking at the employee. We both know that I don't work here, right? He nods, unsure of what's going to happen. I shake my head and roll my eyes. Welcome to retail. Take a small 5-minute break and hopefully she'll be gone before you're back on the floor. I then give him a grin. That's an order from your manager. I can see the weight disappear from his shoulders as he takes a deep breath. A half-inch PVC pipe? I ask, having forgotten where I was instructed to go from the last conversation I had. 2 aisles over that way, he says, pointing. Thanks, I respond, before walking away and hoping I left the employee with a slightly better day. 4. So I used to work at a shop that sold macarons. My town is a huge tourist destination in Florida, and we had these chocolate tours. Basically, a guide will take you on a tour of the city, and you go around and sample sweets from all the different sweet stores. One day, one of the tour guides comes in with an elderly couple. We had just opened, and I had yet to see my boss that day. She told me that we had been added to the chocolate tour, and my boss had said guests could have 2 macarons and 2 pieces of chocolate on the house. I hadn't been told about this, so I was a little confused. I want to preface the next part by saying I have worked in customer service jobs since I was a young kid. I don't want to sound cocky, especially as I'm not confident about a lot of things in my life. But I do know for an absolute fact that I'm fantastic with customers, and I treat every one of them like we've known each other for years. I have never broken my retail persona and have always maintained a calm, friendly composure. Every boss I've had has loved me for this. So I tell her, I will be happy to do that for you, but I haven't heard anything about this, so would you mind if I called my boss real quick to confirm there wasn't any miscommunication? And she's seemingly totally fine with this. Both her and her guests said they totally understood. It was no problem at all. They don't want me to get in trouble, etc. So I call and get the go-ahead. I apologize multiple times for the confusion, and there doesn't seem to be any problem. Because of the confusion, I make an extra effort for them. I pull out the cute silk bags we reserved for events and tied their sweets up real cute with a little bow. Just basically made it a little extra special while having a nice chat with the guide and her guests. She's all smiles, they're all smiles. I think we're all good. They go sit down and eat. I can hear their whole conversation, and they're just having a nice chat about the town. The guide is asking if they enjoyed their tour, as this was the last stop. Nothing about me whatsoever. The guide gets up and says goodbye to them and leaves for her next tour, and the couple likes the chocolate so much that they come up and ordered a few more and throw a few bucks in the tip jar. Nothing seemed off whatsoever, and I forget about this whole thing and go about my day. Later, I hear a phone go off with a text from my boss, but I don't get to read it because we get hit with a small rush. Towards the tail end of the rush, my boss comes in and asks me if I saw her text. I say no, and she tells me to go read it. So I do, and it's a screenshot of an email from the guide. It basically says something along the lines of, "Your employee was very rude and aggressive. My guests and I spoke as we were sitting to eat, and they said he made them very uncomfortable, and they felt unwelcome. They said they wanted to order more, but didn't want to talk to him again, so they didn't. It was very unprofessional that he didn't know about the chocolate tour, and he gave us attitude about it." I walk over to my boss, after reading the text, and just say, "Aggressive? What?" And she pops off. She loved me because I was one of the few working there who actually worked instead of spending my whole shift on my phone. She's going off like, "How dare she say that? You're my best employee. I know you would never be aggressive to anyone. This is so ridiculous. I watched the cameras, and you were so nice to them. It's not your fault that I forgot to tell you about the tour." The cameras have audio, so she could hear every word I said and every word the guide and her guest said. They didn't say a single word about me. They were very happy with their sweets. And like I said earlier, they did order more stuff after the guide left, and we had a very nice interaction. So basically, at no point did they have the chance to talk about me to where I could hear them, as the tour guide and them parted ways while they stayed in the store. She straight up lied about multiple things. The only possible reason I could think of for the bad review she sent my boss, luckily she didn't leave a public review anywhere, is that she was embarrassed because there was a small hiccup in the tour with me being confused when she first walked in, and I was the easiest person to take it out on. The doors to the macaron cooler do make a kind of loud sound when you close them, and I tend to be a little heavy-handed anyways, so maybe she interpreted the smack of the doors as me slamming things around in anger. My boss and I were both as confused as hell. I'm lucky that I had the cameras to back me up, as well as my boss's trust. I know a lot of bosses will stand by the customer no matter how ridiculous a complaint is. She ended up cancelling all future tours because she didn't want their business after that. But man, I work so hard and exert so much emotional labor in order to give people the best experience possible. So I feel very indignant about the whole thing. Even years later, I'm still pressed about it. 5. Hello again, it is I, your battery employee, with another no-mask Texan with strange logic. Backstory: me and my coworker Doe are working together today, when a good couple comes in needing a new battery for their car. As part of selling the battery, we offer to install it free of charge. Good couple says yes, and Doe goes outside to install the battery. Good couple's car is right in front of the building, so me and good couple watch as Doe installs the battery. While Doe is outside, I'm watching the front for any more walk-ins, and good couple is chilling inside. I watch from the big glass windows as Sandwich Man approaches our building with no mask. I watch to see any sign of mask fishing or changing of direction to one of the nearby stores. But I guess Loki was bored and sent Sandwich Man our way with no mask in sight. Sandwich Man opens the door, and right before he walks inside the building, I say in a loud, clear voice that he needs to wear a mask when he's inside the building. Sandwich Man did not like that, and says things like he doesn't need one and he can come in without one. My coworker comes in after a moment of this back and forth and tells Sandwich Man he needs a mask. He doesn't like that now 2 people are telling him to wear a mask. He then responds to us with, "If I came in here with a sandwich, you would have to let me eat it." Me and Doe are confused but won't back down. Doe says, "No, this isn't a restaurant, it's a battery place. You can't have food here. You have to leave, sir." Sandwich Man then gets mere inches from Doe's face and says, "You need to stand up for yourself, don't let people tell you what to do." Sandwich Man walks out mad and leaving me and Doe confused. Doe comes back outside after making sure Sandwich Man is gone, and finishes the install. Good couple comments saying what a rude man Sandwich Man was, and how Doe was standing up for himself. Me and good couple chat a bit about the situation while we wait for Doe to finish the install. They finish after a moment, and good couple leaves. I tell Doe while he was outside good couple had nothing but good things to say on how he handled that situation. He seems happy about that, and me and Doe have a much-needed lunch break after. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 141. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do like and subscribe, and comments are also appreciated. Alright, now before we go on, we have a birthday shout out today. This goes to Venikins. And their birthday is today, if I'm reading that right. It is the 8th. Yes, that is correct. Yes, it's written the wacky way you Americans write dates. The wrong way. Anyway, where was it? Oh yes, birthday shout out. Okay. What's that noise? I can hear people talking in the next room. Let's go eavesdrop on their conversation, shall we? Hey, Kaz, what you doing? Well, I heard the man next door talking about singing a happy birthday to a Van Ikins. I don't know what that is. And I'm not sure what the point of it is. Is it well-wishing? Is it a threat? I mean, if someone doesn't have a happy birthday, are they then obligated to pay restitution in some form to you because you've gone to the trouble of wishing them a happy birthday? Nah, I think you're overthinking it, man. Don't worry about it. Tell you what, whenever your next birthday is, I'll take you out and get you some hookers and coke. Which, in your case, will be fishing and Coca-Cola.
Hello, boys. What's going on here, then? Oh, talk of birthdays. You know, that reminds me. Favourite soul I ever claimed. This guy made a deal on his birthday to have a happy one. And so he got 10 years of the happiest birthdays. Then we dragged him to hell. That was happy for us, not so much for him.
You know, Crowley, you got a real way of ruining the mood around here. All right, well, that was a little bit weird. I don't even want to investigate what's going on in there. I know, weird shenanigans is what it sounds like, so let's go away and leave them to it. Very odd stuff indeed. But before I go, I would indeed like to sing Happy Birthday to Venikins. Here we go.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Venikins. Happy birthday to you.
I wasn't expecting them to join in, but that was nice of them. Now please get out of my house. I don't even know why you were in here in the first place. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.